And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Sunday morning showing a pretty good area of IFR here over the eastern Bering Sea and into the west coast. More IFR north slope on out to the eastern Arctic coast, and some IFR here, Prince William Sound, east side of the Kenai Peninsula. Otherwise marginal VFR along the southeast coast with VFR over the inside waters, marginal for Kodiak Island and all of the Aleutians, with mostly VFR conditions over the interior. And for the afternoon, good VFR continues here in the central part of the state, but to the north, marginal VFR from the Brooks Range on out with a band of IFR there from the central Arctic coast eastward to Mackenzie Bay. And IFR here pushing eastward now into the Kuskokwim Valley and extending all the way out into the eastern Bering Sea, northward there across St. Lawrence Island. And a lot of IFR here just off the south coast or along the south coast of the Panhandle with marginal VFR over the inside waters. And IFR here covering the Gulf of Alaska on up into Prince William Sound. And marginal VFR for the Aleutians becoming IFR out over the west central Aleutians. And for the Tuesday morning time, we're looking at IFR here for the Aleutians from about Kiska Island eastward there, almost to False Pass, IFR over the northern Bering Sea, Yukon Kuskokwim Delta, Norton Sound, up to the Kuskokwim Mountains here and covering northeast Bristol Bay and up the west side of Cook Inlet. IFR, pretty good area there for the north slope and the Arctic coast, narrow band along the North Gulf Coast Range, extending into Lynn Canal there, and areas of IFR along the central and south coast of the Panhandle, otherwise marginal. And for the afternoon, IFR here again over the eastern Bering Sea from St. Lawrence Island, now right on down across the Alaska Peninsula, westward to Atka Island, and keeping IFR in over the Yukon Kuskokwim Delta, IFR from the north slope out to the eastern Arctic coast, and Prince William Sound, North Gulf Coast, IFR, and marginal VFR, some IFR on the east side of the Panhandle. Passes tomorrow, Brooks Range, Enitovik and Adigan. Look for marginal conditions for both passes, and about the same for the western Alaska Range, Lake Clark, Merrill, rainy, all marginal for the day Sunday, as well as windy. Isabel, marginal VFR, improving to VFR from Antasta, Tanita, also VFR. And for Portage, IFR, especially on the western entrance, and for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR. And for the freezing levels here, 2,000 feet up over the Kuskokwim Valley, back in toward the Seward Peninsula, Norton Sound area. Otherwise, the main area here down over the northern Panhandle to just east of Kodiak Island there. And for icing, we've got a pretty good area of considerable moderate rime icing here, pushing in toward the coast of the Panhandle, North Gulf Coast, Gulf of Alaska, right into south central Alaska, and into the Kuskokwim Valley, and another zone here over the northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island area, and some icing, most significant, staying just south or along the western Aleutians there. And the jet stream showing west-northwest flow here at about 65 knots across the southern Bering Sea and the Aleutians, light over interior Alaska, and then we got west-southwest winds, 75 knots into the southeast coast. And at 9,000 feet here, we've got low center southeast of Kodiak Island, and over the eastern Gulf, southeast winds at about 45 knots, 30-knot winds here at 9,000 feet, Kuskokwim Valley, out to St. Lawrence Island, but stronger westerlies there over the eastern Aleutians at about 40 knots. And at 3,000 feet, low pressure here just west of Nunivak Island, light easterlies to the north of the center, light westerlies to the south. A much stronger system here south of the western Aleutians, bringing 40-knot southeast winds, mostly west of Adak on out toward the Komondorskis, and a pretty good band of easterlies of 40 to 45 knots there for the Arctic coast. And we've got southeast winds, south becoming southeast, and east-southeast of 40 knots from the North Gulf Coast, and the strongest winds, at least through tomorrow, staying off the coast of the Panhandle. And for turbulence, with those stronger winds, considerable moderate turbulence there, Yakutat in toward Cordova, Cape St. Elias, and those areas, surface 5,000 feet, and could be some occasional moderate turbulence, or isolated moderate for the western Arctic coast, possibly as far south as Point Hope, more likely Cape Lisburne, and also out here to the west with that stronger system. Look for considerable moderate turbulence out there, mostly Amchitka Island to Shimia and at 2.